Hello and welcome if you're new. If you're not new, welcome back. My name is Mila. I do small business digital marketing and education, which means I work with small businesses to teach them how to handle their own digital marketing. That's social media, SEO, APIs. That's where I am. I tried to start YouTube and it went a little sideways. So we're back. We have a better setup. We're better at filming. I am missing my ring light. Unfortunately, it did die. The one that I need to order is in the mail. So hopefully not by next time, but the time after, I will have a good ring light setup. Today's topic that I wanted to talk about was a little bit more niche. I wanted to talk about why small businesses are feeling really stuck on social media now. We're pretty early into 2026. It's been a month. I feel like people are becoming more aware of social media over the last about year and a half, understanding that they do need to be on social media if they want to succeed. But that doesn't mean that they're actively doing it, or they're doing it and they're feeling like, gosh, I've got like 50 followers and I can't grow anymore. Like I don't know what's going on. I want to talk about what you think the problems are and then why the problems actually exist, and then kind of how we can get through that. I have my notes in front of me, so if you see me looking downwards, there's a reason. Talking about social media, I hear a lot of the same things over and over and over and over again from small business owners as to why they feel like they're not making any progress. And a lot of times I help them diagnose that issue personally and figure out how we can adjust that. But I want to go over some like big ones that you might be feeling that can be hard to deal with. I also struggle with some of these sometimes, so don't feel alone in it. I'm a professional and I still don't know what's going on half the time. A lot of people tell me there's too many platforms, they don't know what's going on. I like to say stick to at most like 5 platforms. The reasoning behind that is if you are everywhere doing everything, it's a lot of time and it's a lot of energy. And if I was on every platform that I could possibly be on, I wouldn't have time to do my job because I'd spend so much time making content for these platforms, right? I can only repurpose so much content. Big ones, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and then you get one bonus, which for me is YouTube. But if you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, you have got everything covered that you could possibly need. Everything else is just additional or niche. So that's your extra one, your 5th one. So for me, it's YouTube. For you, it might be Spotify, podcasts. It might be Reddit, it might be Tumblr, it might be Twitter or X now, Instagram threads or whatever. But the more platforms you're on, the more work it's going to be, and you can only repurpose so much. Figure out what your core platforms are. And if you're struggling to figure out where you want to be or where your target audience is, that could be something that you need to kind of look into where you're getting good engagement. If your target audience is elderly care or really people over the age of 40, you're probably going to want to make sure that you're focusing most of your efforts onto Facebook. If you're looking for teens, if you're looking for early 20s, maybe mid 20s, get on TikTok. If you're wanting to reach as wide an audience as possible, but kind of staying in that younger range between 20 and 40, get on Instagram. Look where your kind of people are sitting. Additionally, in that same vein, figure out what kind of content you're pushing out. Where is your content going to be valued the most? If your content is funny and personable and whatever, like quirky, weird, LinkedIn's probably not going to be your best platform because LinkedIn it's social media now. It wasn't as much before, but LinkedIn still sticks to that professional standard vibe. There's not a lot of big personality, funny, haha on there. If my brand was super clean cut, super professional, I'd want to be on LinkedIn. That's where I'd find my people. And so figuring out where your content's going to be the norm. In that same range, I feel like a lot of people talk about being not one-on-one with the algorithm. All I have to say to that extent is you're never going to get along with the algorithm. Very often I talk with people and they're like, well, this didn't work out. And I can be like, well, yeah, the algorithm's not going to like that. And then they're like, okay, well, how do I get the algorithm to like my thing? And I could tell you exactly what to do to get the algorithm to like your content, but that doesn't mean that the content's going to go out and go viral. I could hand you the perfect item. I could hand you something that feeds every bit of the algorithm as it should, and it still could not work because the algorithm's not in charge of how your post performs. It helps it along. It does determine to some extent, but the only people who are interacting with your content are people. So the algorithm watches if people are interacting with your content. If people don't find your content engaging and they don't want to interact with it, it doesn't matter if that content was perfect for the algorithm. You're just not engaging. Another issue I see that's less of a verbal thing that I hear and more of a thing that I don't hear is having goals. And now these goals don't have to be specifically around social media. They can be around your business. But if you don't have a goal for your business, you can't market it, right? So a lot of times when I'm doing initial consults with people trying to figure out if I can help them, if we're going to get along well, I'll ask, like, what is your 5-year goal for your business? Or where do you want your business to be at its peak? Very often I hear, I'm not sure, different, better. Well, what's better to you? Is better having 1 million followers? Is better making 6 figures? Is better getting to go to events every weekend? I don't know what better is for you. If you don't have a clear goal to work towards, it's going to show up in your social media, right? A lot of people, I tell them, get on there and post, because posting something shitty is better than not posting at all. But when you're to the point that you're like, okay, I do need a strategy, like I'm really trying to grow and I'm stuck and I don't know what's going on. Well, you've hit the maximum that you can with no goal in mind. You know, you did your post just a post. A failed post is better than no post at all. That's only going to work to a certain extent. And at some point you do need to have a goal in mind, and you do need to understand where you're wanting your business to go, because that is what leads everything else. You have to set up the dominoes before you can knock them over. Along with that mindset, I often see the mindset of, well, I'm in the same niche as so-and-so big brand. But you're not a big brand. No offense. It's not to say that your brand is worse than this big brand, because your brand is probably better. I would love to shop from your brand, but can I find your brand? Do I know your brand exists? If I don't, of course I'm going to go to big brand. You're more expensive than big brand because you're doing stuff ethically. Big brand is visible. Big brand, everyone knows big brand, right? Let's say you sell scented candles, okay? Who sells scented candles? Bed Bath & Beyond, Bath & Body Works, Home Goods, Marshalls. There's a million places that have these scented candles, and guess what? They can sell them for like $2 a pop, and your normal cost is like $5, so you need to sell them for 7 or 8 just to make any sort of profit at all. So you're already at a disadvantage. People know these places. They've had time to establish themselves. They can sell it for cheaper because they're doing things not in a great way. And you don't have a goal. You're trying to compare yourself to a brand that's not in the same position as you. If I make scented candles and I compared myself to Bath and Body Works, and I was like, Bath and Body Works made $13 million this year and I made 13, of course I'm going to feel bad, right? It's a major difference. I'm going to be like, well, no one's ever going to want my candles because Bath and Body Works sells candles. And no, stop. Not everything's about you. Stop comparing yourself to these big box stores that can sell these items for super cheap at a super low quality. There is a reason for your product, for whatever reason, whatever you're selling, or your service. There's a reason for your product or service. And there's a reason people would want to choose you. You just have to define that reason. One of the big things I ask people in our initial consult is, why are you better? Why are you better than everyone else like you? Because guess what? There's not a niche in this fucking world that hasn't been filled. There is always someone that's doing the exact same thing as you. Why are you better? Why should people choose you? And if I'm comparing myself and my marketing to like a giant marketing brand, of course my marketing is going to look like shit. Because guess what? They have millions of dollars at their disposal to do things. And I have like 20. You know, you're telling me you have $20 to run an ad. They have 20,000. Of course their ad's going to do better. But why would someone choose me? I'm in their area. I push out the vision that they want. I am able to work with them on a more personable level. I am able to teach them. I am able to create a connection that this big brand can't. We value connection as humans, and we value collaboration. And so when I hear people like compare themselves to these other big brands or to even other small businesses, these should not be your competition. Why are you comparing yourself to them when you could be working with them? I do marketing, I do a lot of photography. If I compared myself to every photographer out there and I was like, wow, I suck compared to them, of course I wouldn't want to do photography anymore. And if I met a photographer and I was like, well, I do photography too and I think I'm better than you, all I'm doing is closing a circle that could be open. Guess what? I really specialize in branded content photography, but I've never worked a wedding in my life as a photographer. And if someone came to me and was like, hey, could you photograph my wedding? No, Don't ask me to do that. But guess what? I know a wedding photographer. I know 3. Let me give you these recommendations. I'll help you. I'll get you connected. I'll help you figure out which one's the best price for what you need. I will create this connection with people. And let's say I'm looking at this person and they do want brand and content photography. They're like, I need this content photograph. And I'm like, fuck, that day's filled already. Or I just don't want to photograph this. I don't want to do it. Guess what? I know another brand and content photographer who I trust to recommend to you. You shouldn't be in competition with people when you can be collaborating with them. That was a lot. Sorry, got a little excited talking about things. I want to focus in on 3 major things that business owner, maybe you, think business owners in general think are the problem. What they think is wrong with their social media. Again, I hear this all of the time. I'm not posting at the right time. There's no right time to post. Like you can try, but people are going to be on social media 24/7. There is always someone logged onto a social media app. I promise you, unless the social media app has like 20 users. But if you're posting on Instagram, someone is there and someone is going to see it. I don't care when you post. Hashtags. Hashtags don't work anymore, guys. Please stop putting hashtags. When I hear people be like, well, I just don't think I use the right hashtags to get to my audience. Hashtags don't do anything. Unless, in some platforms they do. But on your major platforms, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok nowadays, hashtags don't do shit. Because algorithms are so fucking good, they can look at your content and look at your page and look at who's interacting with you and understand that without needing you to hold its hand and give it hashtags. So you just spent 20 minutes writing your caption and putting 800 fucking hashtags on there instead of spending that 20 minutes on making your content better. Stop caring about hashtags. Everyone thinks they need to go viral. I need 10,000 views. I need this. You don't. Because guess what? I could have 1 million followers. I could have 500,000 views per reel. But guess what? That doesn't get me clients. You know what gets me clients? Me. I try to tell people a lot of times, hey, you have 300 followers. That's great. That's wonderful. I love that to start. And they come at me and they go, Mila, I want more followers. Okay. We can get you more followers, but let's look at what your current followers are doing. Because you have 300 followers, but you get 3 likes per post. Does that not sound weird to you? Just saying, like, your engagement within your community is so much more important than any follower number. I could have 1 million friends, and that doesn't mean any one of them cares about me or my product. No offense. That just means I have 1 million friends. That doesn't mean they're good friends. I just have 1 million of them. And so when it comes down to it, you know, if your goal is to go viral and get 1 million views and get 1 million followers and that doesn't fix the main problem. That doesn't fix the fact that people are not engaging, that you don't have a strong community, that you're not entertaining enough, or you're not offering them enough reason to interact with your content. You can go viral, but all that does is put eyes on you for a very limited amount of time, by the way. You have eyes on you for a 10-second reel. They go, haha, that's funny. Maybe they like it and they scroll on with their day. Going viral is not the answer to anything. I want to round out this video with what I think is the big major problems that people are genuinely struggling with, but you're not feeling like that's the problem. You know what I mean? Number one, we kind of talked about, you don't have a strategy. You don't have a goal. You don't have, like, I need to get from point A to point B. You're saying, I'm at point A and I think that I'd kind of like to be, like, around point B-ish. That doesn't help anyone. You not only need to know where you're going, but you need to be able to know where you're going and then reverse back on the steps of how to get there. It's not an easy process by any means, but you need to be able to have an outlook of how to get there. A lot of times we can value this in, like, our mental health. I talk with a lot of people where it's like, I have struggled myself a lot with my own mental health, and one of the things I really struggle with is goal setting and, like, figuring out what I'm going for. You know, a lot of times I get stuck in this loop of just existing rather than trying for something. And so this can feel a little bit harsh. So trigger warning. But, like, if I don't have a goal to be moving towards, if I don't have something I'm trying to achieve, what am I living for? And I'm not saying that's a great outlook on life, but I that's how I feel as a person sometimes, where I'm like, finding that goal and that purpose and what you're aiming towards is so important to your business. If I don't know where I want my business to go and I don't see an end of the line, I'm just like a hamster running in a wheel. Like there's no end to this. I'm just running. In that same vein, you need clarity on exactly how everything looks. If I have my candle making business and my goal for this next project or this next year, for the next 5 years, is to sell 500 candles. That's my goal for this year. I want to sell 500 candles by December 31st. Okay. Now I need to go, okay, within that, I can break that down into 100 candle chunks. Now I have 5 mini goals to reach. So sell my first 100 candles. Okay, how do I sell my first 100 candles? I go to markets. Okay, how do I get to markets? I'm on social media. Okay, how do I get on social media? I need to set up social media accounts. Okay, I need to set up an email. Okay, I need to set up a website. I need to do this. Okay, I have all this done. I've gone to my markets. I've sold 50 candles. Okay, I'm halfway to my miniature goal. Breaking these things down into smaller steps and letting ourselves achieve things on the way to our big goal is important. You know, I need to have a clear outline of how I get there, and I need to clearly understand that every step forward is a step in the right direction. Even if it doesn't feel like it, even if it feels like I'm doing this shit for nothing. I went to an event, I went to a market that I paid $100 for, I sold 1 candle, I'm out $95. Okay, but people saw me and people talked to me and I made the effort and I got an experience. And yeah, it sucks I had to pay $95 for that experience, especially if I don't have a lot of money, especially if this is how I'm trying to get by. But is it not better to try and fail than to never fail but never try? The last thing that I feel is a bit more social media related and less mentality related is a repeatable process that you can do over and over again. You should be able to kind of repeat your content planning every single month. Every single month, my content planning looks the same. Go look for national days. Go into my list of content ideas. Figure out when I should be posting. Hey, can I reuse some templates? Do I need to make new templates for this month? Make things as easy as possible. Yes, it's a lot more when it starts, but it becomes so much easier as you go through time. And you're like, oh, actually, it only took me 2 hours to do like 80% of my content for the entire month. And all I have to do is do some filming and editing. Shit, like this is gonna be so easy. You don't have to like do everything. You don't have to be everywhere and doing everything. All you need is to have an end goal and then a strategy to get there. And then make it as easy as possible on yourself to go through that strategy so you can get to your end goal. And when it comes down to social media and you're like, fuck, I don't know what my goal is with social media, be there, be active. Guess what? Being active can be your goal. Hey, I want to be active. I want to post 3 times a week. I post 0 times right now. Okay, let me start by posting once a week, and then twice a week, and then 3 times a week. And how do I figure out how to make it sustainable for me? How can I make sure that 3 times a week is not too much work? That doesn't take away from the rest of my business. You need a system to handle things. And if you're just raw dogging life, you're just raw dogging social media, it's not going to work out.